Good afternoon, wrestling community, and welcome to another edition of WrestleTalkShow. I'm your host, Joshua Zimmerman, here to bring you the current events of professional wrestling, WWE, TNA, ROH, all this, and much more. You can catch our latest two videos that were published last night on youtube.com/CWE Company, or they'll be updated to the main website, WrestleTalkShow.webs.com, within the next couple hours. First and foremost, we want to thank our YouTube following and our general audience. Without you, this would not be possible. And we do thank you for your viewership and letting me know that you guys value my opinion. I make some good points, and you guys share yours with me in the same. It's going to be kind of a short news day, as not much has happened since last night. But that's not to say that we won't be doing another video tonight to make up for what happens between now, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, and Impact tonight, if anybody cares. 9 o'clock Eastern on Spike TV. Let's get right into your wrestling news. First and foremost, TNA is thinking about taking its pay-per-view lockdown on the road. And it also extends an offer to NFL star Ocho Cinco and Bengals head coach Marvin Lewis to settle an off-season dispute. TNA has offered them the opportunity at lockdown to have a steel cage match. The offer is still being worked out between both parties, and it's not sure whether or not this will actually happen. It's said that Ocho Cinco kind of hinted at it in a Twitter due to an off-season dispute between the player and the coach this past season. Former WWE developmental wrestler Sean McGrath, aka Bad Seed, dies at age 34 from apparent suicide. He was released from WWE in 2008. The suicide note that was made public and found by former WWE diva Stacey Carter, McGrath commented that personal issues and not making it into the WWE led him to make this clear-minded and sober decision. He's, quote, never been a drug guy, and this is something that was chosen by him and not influenced by drugs or alcohol whatsoever. It'll be our segment, but doesn't it say something, WWE, when people are now killing themselves because of the standards you've set in this business? More are rejected than are accepted. I'm not saying you should take the blame for this. Not at all. That's like me saying one of my guys tomorrow goes out and offs himself because CWE's been a process over the last 5 years that we're trying to get it right. We don't want there to be the foul-ups where we're here 1 month and gone the next. So we're trying to fine-tune everything. But for me to say that would be like one of my guys going out and offing themselves because they couldn't wait for CWE to get its official launch. There you have no control over that, but shouldn't you look at your standards? I mean, he seemed like an athletic guy. Maybe he didn't have a character Vince could push. A lot of times that's what's happened. They're very good wrestlers, but if Vince doesn't want you, Vince doesn't want you. And this is why I argued yesterday, maybe we should take the final say away from Vince McMahon. This company's going under. And he's just been signed to 3 more years with the company at $1.1 million, which translate after profit bonuses that the company may or may not reach this year. $2.4 million a year. To do what? But we'll get into that. WWE reportedly bringing back the Divas search. Former TNA tag champ Hernandez has concluded his run in Mexico's AAA promotion and will return to TNA shortly. And finally in the news, former WWE wrestler Jake Roberts plans to open a wrestling school after his retirement this weekend and also plans to write 2 books. So now we'll get into we'll go back to what we touched on in the last 2 videos, and we'll kind of mold this topic around like I just did. What happens when your standards as a wrestling promoter are so high that despite your wrestling ability, you can't get in? There's a lot of people, I know a couple of different friends that had dark matches that were incredible wrestlers. Are incredible wrestlers, let me rephrase that. Did a lot of their successful work, paid their dues in the independents. And yes, they were more than willing to pay their dues in the WWE, but they didn't even survive the dark match. They got their dark match and were never called back. And that goes back to my focus of maybe we should take this guy. He should not be chairman, CEO, and creative director. He holds 3 jobs that he has the final say over all 3. Okay. Vince McMahon has already screwed this company over the last 2 years to where investors and the financial community are wondering when the other shoe's going to drop, more or less. And he's still in charge of having the final say on all this. Who's to say that anymore Vince McMahon knows what sells? He doesn't know what we want anymore. 90%, he used to. There was a time where he was right in that always referenced interview. I know what the fans want. And he was right. But now with his entertainment writers instead of wrestling writers, and his push to get ratings at any means necessary, despite taking the wrestling out of the wrestling program, what is he really doing for this company? Outside of he's been the CEO for so long, we probably couldn't imagine the company being run by anyone else. What does he actually bring to the table anymore? He doesn't like little guys. To release, and this will be my first time going off about this, to release Caval after the success with Low-Key, you're an idiot. Caval was a great wrestler who didn't get the push. Why didn't he get the push? Because Vince McMahon doesn't like little guys. Even though Rey Mysterio gets the kid pop, so Rey Mysterio will, despite his numerous injuries that he brings onto himself, will have a contract with WWE until he decides he doesn't want to work with WWE anymore. WWE, it will never get to a point with Rey Mysterio where Rey Mysterio is at. It will never get to a point where WWE decides they don't want Rey Mysterio because they've already acknowledged that he gets a pop from the kids. Okay? You're going to push that guy who played the underdog very well and made a name for himself doing exactly that. Why couldn't Caval do the same thing? Why couldn't you find a spot for this, a.k.a. Bad Seed? He was in your OVW, bounced through the independents. He was with you until 2008. So obviously you've seen something there. What didn't he have, Vince? Wasn't he big enough? Did he not perform on the mic well, so we discredit your wrestling ability because you can't sell the whole package? That's like yesterday's comment. I was listening to a previous podcast on how they've done away with managers. Yeah. I'm not saying every wrestler should have it, because you want to look for the whole package so you don't have to pay a second body. But come on. To completely cancel out all the managers, you don't even want to think about it anymore because you don't want to pay the second body, is ridiculous. There are some wrestlers who are great in the ring. They're great performers. They just suck on the mic. And that was the whole purpose of a manager, to pick the fights that would get that wrestler the name he needed to go after bigger and better things in whatever promotion he was working for. WCW, ROH, TNA, ECW, whatever. Managers used to be a staple. Now, Vince McMahon has monopolized the wrestling industry. TNA doesn't even try anymore. And you do away with managers. Why? I see no point. Yeah, let me rephrase that. I agree with you to an extent, but you can have a great wrestler, and maybe his only flaw, like I said, is that he's just not good on the stick. Therefore, you insert a manager until you train this man. That's the whole WWE way, right? Forget what you learned in the independents. What WWE practices is the way wrestling should be. No. WWE, look it up if you guys don't believe me. WWE doesn't even market itself as wrestling anymore. It's fast-paced entertainment, unpredictability, competition. Every word but wrestling is used in World Wrestling Entertainment. Where do these people not see the issue? Vince McMahon should not be running this. The wrestling is no longer a factor. Can you get a crowd response? Can you get me ratings? Good, you're hired. Never mind the fact that you're a great wrestler or you're a shitty wrestler, but you're good at covering up because you're good on the microphone. Like the one cancels the other out. It used to be where good wrestlers got into this promotion. Now, as long as you can peak Vince's ratings, anybody can get hired. I just don't, and I know I might have strayed away from the topic a little bit, but I just don't see the sense in it. In just, well, the suicide, he took the coward's way out. That he did, yes. But for a guy to basically put in his suicide note that his inability to fulfill his WWE dream contributed to him making the decision to end his life at 34 years old. Does anyone else not see a problem with this? I mean, does anyone else relate to where I'm coming from here? There is an issue when you do not market wrestling as wrestling anymore, but straight up entertainment. You might as well call it World Wrestling Entertainment Presents your variety show. Insert circus act here. All this and more on the next Wrestle Talk show. I'm pleased that you joined us this afternoon, and maybe we'll have another video tonight. If not, we'll be here to top it off for Impact tomorrow afternoon at the latest, after all the news comes in and the ratings, hopefully. View more at WrestleTalkShow.webs.com. See videos past and present at YouTube.com/CWE Company. Friend us at both Facebook and Twitter at CWE Company, and send show-related questions, concerns, comments, anything you want to be heard on to CWEcompany@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoyed.